Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and functional nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook, so you can stop guessing and start healing and finally feel like yourself again. No more one-size-fits-all protocols, just real answers, deep-rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now, on to our show.
So I wanted to talk today about the best summer weight loss tips. I really like the way that this talk is going to go. It's going to be kind of short, kind of sweet, but still pretty informative, I think. A lot of times people overcomplicate this. This is just fat loss, weight loss in general. So just something to note. Sometimes people get off calls, they're like, oh, it really can't be that easy. There has to be some other tricky way to finally lose the fat or lose the weight over summer. And the biggest thing I can tell you is stick with the basics. The basics work. And also don't crash diet just to get it ready for like get in a bikini in a month, then you're going on vacation and you realize you want to drop 20 pounds. So it's the worst thing you can do. Okay. So here are some sustainable tips that'll help you guys out. Okay. So first thing, always, if weight loss is a goal, you want to make sure you're eating in a calorie deficit. Pretty, makes sense, right? Pretty much that means your overall daily calorie intake is less than the calories you need to sustain your current week or current day. So that is really important. You don't have to track your food or your macros daily, although it is something that I do suggest. I think it's really important to just understand how much you actually are eating to make sure you're actually in a calorie deficit, especially during the summer when there's lots of extra treats and condiments and juices and drinks. And there's a lot of ways to eat a lot of empty calories that we're just not tracking or keeping a hold of. So just those little small things can really push us out of a calorie deficit. So I would suggest, even if it's just for a week, tracking your food and seeing if, you're less than where you should be. I think another thing also is just consuming more whole unprocessed foods is going to make you feel generally a lot better, more energized, satisfied, healthier. So especially during the summer, we go to a lot of different events and there's usually a lot of packaged food or processed food. So sticking to the whole foods, but also keeping in mind things like fruit, which is amazing and very good for you, can very easily be overdone as well. So even healthy foods can push you out of that deficit, something to definitely be aware of. Second thing's going to be to boost your protein intake. And if you are my client that is listening to this right now, you're probably grinning and you're like, yeah, I get it. Because I'm always bugging about protein. It's one of the most important macronutrients that almost every single person guaranteed is under eating. Not only is this going to make you feel full, especially if you're trying to lose weight, but it's going to maintain your lean muscle mass as well, which is essentially healthier for your metabolism and your body. You don't want to lose lean muscle mass. You want to lose body fat. And that's one of the best ways to do that is to increase your protein intake. Aim for at least like 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. This does depend on your body fat percentage, your overall weight, and your composition goals as well. But I wouldn't suggest going lower than about 0.6 to 0.7, depending on body fat. For most of us, if we are working out, we're going to want between 0.8 and 1 gram. So third one's going to be focusing on fiber. This is such a huge one people mistake. If you have counted macronutrients in the past, or even if you haven't, you're probably familiar with your carbs, your fats, and your proteins. But you have these micronutrients, and fiber being one of them that is super duper important. Fiber helps normalize your bowel functions and plays a really good role in regulating your hormones, feeding a healthy gut, which can obviously greatly impact your ability to lose weight. So that's really important. It also keeps your it also keeps you full for a long period of time, which is obviously good if you're trying to lose a little bit of weight. Naturally, you are going to be a little bit more hungry. So you want to, especially if you're a woman, about 25 to 30 grams is usually what I'll tell clients. You can go up to about 45, depending on how well you tolerate fiber as well. That's going to kind of be dependent on person to person, but 25 to 30 is usually about what I'm looking for. Water. And again, if you're one of my clients that's reading this or watching this, water is seriously, like, I can't literally express how important water is. We're basically human cucumbers, and every single cell and action in our body requires water. And especially when it gets hot and humid, if you're living in the Midwest and it's really freaking humid, it's definitely important. You're going to dehydrate a little bit quicker. If you want to feel your best, you want to optimize weight loss, at least 8 cups of water a day is important. Again, this is dependent person to person, but 8 should be the minimum that you are drinking. It also helps to ward off hunger and headaches, which is, really important as well. Sometimes dehydration can feel like hunger. If you find yourself hungry, the first thing I would usually tell people to do is drink a glass of water first before you even start eating, just to make sure that it is in fact hunger and not dehydration. Here's another little side tip as well. Don't drink a ton of water while you're eating. It just can actually limit digestion a little bit. So just something to note. Here's another one that's important, and watch your alcohol intake. This is really, really a hard one during the summer. I know that it's tough to be around all these social events and not want to drink a ton. I'm not saying don't drink, for the record. I'm definitely not anti-drinking at all. But something to keep in mind is drinking does pause your ability to burn fat effectively for 24 to 72 hours. So when you're having, some seltzers and some margs, let's say seltzers, because usually they're low calorie, even if they're lower calorie, definitely doesn't mean that our body likes it. We want to detox alcohol first. And so our body turns off the ability to burn fat when you're drinking a lot. Stick to once or twice a week if you are going to drink. You can also track it in your macros, which is something I teach my clients how to do as well. With this next one, don't give yourself drastic limitations. This is with any weight loss, but particularly in the summer, if we really want to feel like we want to drop weight really quickly, because we're going to be in, be less clothing essentially. If you really limit certain food groups, usually carbs of dairy are big ones, without medically necessary, you're potentially kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because you're going to cause yourself cravings and usually some emotional distress. So I'll usually tell clients, just instead of labeling foods as good or bad, focus on fueling your body with nutrient-rich foods that make you feel good. That is going to be really important. Also, just allow yourself some flexibility, so weight loss is sustainable and stops you from essentially like loathing all your efforts. You shouldn't hate your weight loss journey, right? Another one is staying active. Obviously, this is important. It's a lot easier, especially we live in a cold weather climate, to get more exercise during the summer, because we can actually walk outside and not get hypothermia. So staying active is definitely going to be really, really important. So exercise obviously is a tool to keep your body healthy and to burn calories and lose weight. But on the flip side of things, it can also be kind of detrimental if you overdo it. So aim for about 3 to 6 days. I usually say 3, 4, 5 days per week of exercise with a combination of resistance and aerobic work. Don't overdo your cardio, guys. Too much cardio can definitely make you hungrier, harder to sustain your deficit. Usually I'll tell clients 3 20-minute sessions-ish per week is what I look for, depending on their goals and how much time they have. You don't want to overdo your high intensity sessions, such as sprints and Orange Theory and HIIT training. Just limit that to about 2 to 3 times a week max if you are doing that kind of training. You do not need to do that kind of training to lose weight, just a heads up. In fact, sometimes it can be worse for your weight loss journey, but that's a whole nother topic. Pay attention to when your body needs rest, guys. Like if your sleep gets disturbed, mood swings, poor recovery, blood sugar imbalances, like these are signs your body needs a little bit more rest. I know sometimes we can want to hit it harder when we're in the summer, but definitely paying attention to your body cues is definitely important. Lastly, here would just be tracking your NEAT. This is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So pretty much things like fidgeting and walking and the stairs and cleaning, like all of these are parts of NEAT. But you're going to notice when you are on a weight loss journey that these actually decline the longer you diet, pretty much because your body naturally strives to conserve energy. So over time, if you let it, it can, if you do more, walking, taking the stairs, moving around more, it definitely changes the amount of calories you burn throughout the day and impacts weight loss. So tracking your steps is usually the easiest way to track that. Usually just a fitness watch. You can get a pretty cheap one. Just to be consistent, aim for about 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day if you can. Some people strive for 10,000. Sometimes, depending on your goals, it's a little bit less, but usually 7 to 8 is a pretty good realistic step count. And if you can't like do it obviously all in one session, 3 10-minute sessions of getting up and moving, just take a walk around the house, walking around the block, walking around your office, whatever it is, that can really, really make a difference in your weight loss journey, a lot more than you think. So I hope that this helps, guys. And hopefully you guys are having a fantastic summer.